The views and opinions expressed in this content are that of a continuously evolving nature and are subject to change as humanity evolves into higher states of awareness.
So a lot of us empaths have been abandoned at an early age by either one of our parents or one of our very close family members or a very close relationship we've been in. And this kind of creates an emptiness within our hearts. And with this emptiness, we then search. And with the abandonment, we always look for love. Okay, some of us had great love from one of our parents, or both even, and some of us didn't. When we don't have that love, or we're abandoned by one of our parents, we kind of miss one aspect of our life. So if your father abandons you, you miss that male aspect of your life to kind of learn from. And if your mother abandons you, you miss that kind of aspect from the feminine, the divine feminine, which you learn from. So because we're very intuitive, we know that we're here to learn. So we then search for that part that we've lost. So with me, I was searching for something most of my life. I was searching for respect. I was searching for love. And this search creates a lot of negative karma for us because we're always looking for this on the external world, whereas this is always internal, but we don't realize that. It takes us many years of external karma to realize that it's all internal. So we'll go out and we'll try and meet new people, we'll try and get that closeness, we'll get into relationships. The relationships will then hurt us, then we try again, and we get hurt so many times until you realize that when we're looking externally for these relationships, they're not actually working. Okay, and then we go through the dark night of the soul, because the more we search for these relationships, the more we learn, and the more we learn, the more we find somebody who's more like us. Because as our paradigms change, we always attract someone on that same paradigm, you see. And eventually we get to a very highly spiritual paradigm with all the things we've learned, and then we'll meet somebody on that paradigm. This is also known as a twin flame. Okay? So we'll meet someone on that paradigm, and then we get very close to that person and we learn a lot of things from them. But even then we realize that we always lose that person eventually, because of the law of change, relationships are not entirely designed to last forever. You can make them last forever if you choose to do that, but if you go with the flow with everything and you don't block anything, then a lot of the times they don't last forever. So this search puts us in a position where we usually end up alone. Okay, we usually end up very alone, and then we kind of have this fear of being alone at the same time. You see, this is where the confusion comes in. This is where we think that we're going crazy because we've got this intense fear of being alone, but yet we know that we need to be alone at the same time. And this is hard because social conditioning tells us that it's wrong to be alone, but in fact it's correct to be alone. And that's what we're all here for. We're here to evolve to a point where we can become fully comfortable alone. Because if you can't become fully comfortable alone, you're always going to be seeking that external, and you're always going to be creating bad karma for yourself. And you're going to end up being very unhappy, okay? You're always going to be searching. And this is what Jesus meant when he said the kingdom of heaven is within, because everything is within. Okay, all that love you feel from somebody else is actually in you. Okay, if you're lying in bed cuddling your partner and you're feeling this love energy, okay, that love energy is not being projected from them to you. That love energy is inside you already. Okay, something's just sparking that energy, and that relationship you're in is sparking that love and energy. But you think it's the other person, but it's not. It's all inside you anyway. I'll give you an example of this. You could literally cuddle a massive teddy bear, okay, and imagine that it is somebody else, or that perfect partner, and you can feel that love again, just the same. Okay, you'll feel that love exactly the same. So it's not exactly the internal world that's giving you that love. Okay, and this is the same for everyone, whether you're male or female. That external love is an illusion, because everything on the external is an illusion, and you're creating your own reality. So because you decide to search for the love externally, you're creating that reality, and you're always going to be disappointed, because there is nobody who can give you that love perfectly apart from yourself. Because that love is yourself, and only you know yourself. Only you know how to love yourself the way you need to be loved. So the way I did this was, well, what showed me this was actually plant medicine, such as cannabis. Cannabis is great for this, because what cannabis does is it brings back that appreciation for things like when you're a child, and it shows you your true self internally. Okay, so if you take cannabis alone and you just sit and meditate on it, it'll show you a lot more than what you would learn without that, because it relaxes your mind to a state that's so relaxed you actually see the reality of everything, and it also increases your imagination as well. So what I would do is I would literally imagine I was with somebody who was giving me that love and energy, and then because I imagined this, the love and energy came inside myself, and I realised it wasn't actually another person giving us that, it was myself. And that's cannabis is a good thing to use for that. But yeah, eventually we'll realise that, and when we realise that and practice that, we go through another paradigm change. And this paradigm change is one of the biggest ones in our life, and it causes the awakening. So we realise that everything is internal instead of everything being external. And when you awaken to this, you can then use your true empathic powers to help many people, you see, because you're not distracted by somebody else or a relationship that's requiring a lot of your time and things like that. When you get to this stage anyway, you'll meet people who are ready to be on that paradigm that you're on anyway, and then you will be able to make relationships last forever, because you'll not be too immersed in the relationship and relying on it for your happiness. Okay, and this is why twin flames come in our life, so we can learn this, because the loss of a twin flame is the ultimate loss. Like, it's the ultimate loss, and that'll put you through a very hard stage of your life where you go through a dark night of the soul. And then when you go through this, eventually you realise that all the love is within yourself because of this as well. And I know a lot of you empaths are going through this at the moment, where you've lost your twin flame, and what you'll realise is at the end of that, there's no reason to search for another one again, because the universe will just bring them to you anyway. Because whatever paradigm you're on, you'll attract people on that paradigm. And this is a never-ending thing. So you don't need to try, you just need to let the universe give you what it needs. And in the meantime, just try loving yourself. Okay, try, even if you have to imagine that you've got that perfect loving partner with you, even if they're not there, imagine it, and you'll still feel that feeling. And as you get used to this, you'll be able to kind of incorporate that feeling whenever you need. And this puts us on a new paradigm where we're more comfortable with ourselves, and then we can then use our time more efficiently to go and help others going through the old paradigms which you've already gone through. I'm not kind of saying I'm not going to get in another relationship again, because most likely I will, but I'll make sure it's not on the old paradigm where I'm relying on that relationship to make me happy, and I'm not going to get too attached, because when you get too attached to something, you're just setting yourself up for bad karma, because when you lose what you're attached to, it creates more bad karma and more suffering. So once we've searched for that love on the external, and we've been through a lot of bad karmic experiences because of that search, we then realise that that love is within us. And when we do this, a lot of interesting things happen. One of those things is that we realise that all love is within. So all those partners you've been with, or the twin flames, or anybody you've been close to, is still inside you. They are inside you, and you can still communicate with them, but from your higher self. So during meditation, you can still sense that they're in you, and you can still see their character. You know exactly how they would react to what you say, and you can literally start having these conversations with them in your pure mind, okay, without having to see them in the physical. And this is, I class this as kind of speaking to them from your higher self, and you're speaking to their higher self. And when you do this, I don't have any evidence for this yet, but I think you're actually speaking to their higher self as well. So you're actually speaking to them in a higher vibrational frequency. This is pretty out there, guys, and it hasn't been proven yet, but this is something I'm working on at the moment, in maybe it's proven in the near future. Because anybody who you have had feelings for or been very close to is now part of you, and it's inside you. And because it's inside you, you can then access this at any point you wish. So the fear of being alone isn't exactly being alone, it's just the realization of realizing that all those people are inside you as well. So when you realize this, you can kind of counteract the fear of being alone. Now this takes time and practice, but eventually you'll realize that everyone is within you, everything is within, and then you can start to appreciate the fact that you can speak to these people, or speak to these people who've been close to you at any point, even if they haven't realized that yet, okay? Because even if they haven't realized that yet, there will be a point in the future where they do realize that, and then they can speak to you as well. And that's where the pure unconditional love comes in, because no matter what the reason you split up with them for, or whether you got on in person at the time, doesn't really matter, because your higher self gets on fine with them, and there's no issues, you see. The issues come when you start relying on the external, and maybe they're not on the right paradigm at the same time as you. And if they're not on the right paradigm when you first meet them, then in the future they might be on that right paradigm. So it's always open, and that's why sometimes twin flames will split up and then they might come back together again eventually, because it's all still there, but that you both have to be on the correct paradigm in order for it to work. And who knows, in the future you might be on the same paradigm as them. But for now, you just have to realize that they are inside you as well. The same as anybody in your family who you've lost. If you've lost a parent, they are inside you as well. And everything that you do that they once enjoyed doing, you can know that they're enjoying it as well, because they are you. Okay? You are everybody who you come into contact with, who you get close to, who you have experiences with. You are them as well, because they are now in your consciousness. Well, this is quite complex stuff, this, but I hope some of you empaths out there understand this. I hope you've experienced this as well. And I hope this is not just me going crazy, okay? But if you have, please leave a comment and let us know that, because I want to know I'm not the only one who's experiencing this. So to summarise this video, I would say that if you are still on that paradigm where you're seeking the love from an external source, that's fine. Keep doing that, because you're on the right track. Okay, like you're literally on the right track, because you're going to learn this one way or another. Okay, so everybody comes into our lives for experiences and to learn knowledge. So I'm not saying that relationships are a bad thing. I'm saying they're a process to help us realize who we truly are. And everything you learn in relationships is worth it. So never think to yourself that the relationship was a waste of time, because it wasn't. Because every relationship we're in it for a reason, because we've attracted that person who's on the same paradigm as us. So it is for a good reason. And the lessons we learn from relationships are priceless. Okay. All I'm saying is eventually you may reach the same point as I have, where you realize that not all of love is out there, so if most of it is within. And don't worry about that either. Don't worry about thinking that your relationship might not possibly last, because it might. people have many different ways of making relationships last forever. And if you're prepared to do that, then that's great. And if you have the ability to do that, I might be wrong in what I'm saying here. There might be a way to make relationships last forever. And a lot of people have had parents who've been together for a long time, especially people who aren't empaths, and they say that their parents are very happy together. What goes on behind closed doors, we don't know. But if they think that, and then that's great. They can maybe use that knowledge to create a paradigm where they can be in a relationship forever as well. But with my experience and experience of a lot of empaths, we find that's not as easy as it seems, okay? Maybe it's us, maybe it's because we need to experience many different relationships to learn more in order to help other people, or maybe it's just coincidence, I don't know. But in my experience, we have all these relationships to learn lessons, to find the love within. And that's the kind of lesson I'm trying to give out in this video here, so don't worry about relationships, because it will all work out okay in the end, you see. It's all going to work out okay, because the more relationships we have, the more we learn about ourselves, and the more we learn about ourselves, the more we can actually love ourselves, you see. And so the love gets taken over from the external, and it kind of progresses into the internal. So there's no way of losing this, okay? Don't get really down because a relationship's not working out, because it's not working out for a reason. If your relationship's not working out, that's fine. Try and make it work. If it still doesn't work, it will possibly come to an end eventually. And when it comes to an end, that's for a reason as well, because the lessons you learn from that relationship ending create a new paradigm, a new level of reality where you'll attract somebody on that new paradigm as well. So it's a constant evolution process. And don't worry about losing that person, because when they've raised their paradigm as well, in the future you might be on the same paradigm as them, and then you can be able to get back together from a whole new paradigm and possibly make it work forever, you see. So there's many different ways in which relationships work. So my intention of this video wasn't to kind of take you away from the relationship dynamic or give it a bad name, because it's all good, okay? Relationships are here to teach us things, and what the teach us is to find self-love. And once you've found that self-love, then you can make any relationship work, any friendship work. Even when you go out and meet strangers, you can have unconditional love for them as well, okay? And this is when the true enlightenment comes, where you can go out and find joy in everything you do, okay? Because there's no expectations, you're not afraid of loss anymore, and then eventually you can go out there and just be yourself, fully be yourself. And when you can eventually do that, that's when your life turns around and you become able to help many, many people and fulfill your true destiny as an empath, and to help this world evolve into something great, and cast out fear, cast out insecurity, and teach others what you know. So that's it for this video, guys. Please leave a like if you like this, and subscribe to the channel, Real Spirit Dynamics. Thanks for listening to me today, and I'll see you on the next video.